one of my mentors talks about game. You got to have game, and I thought this is one of the coolest acronyms that I've ever heard. Because a lot of people talk about within an athletic in athletic context, they talk about having game. Can you play? Are you any good at what you do? So let's talk about game. With game, the acronym, we're talking about a gut check. First of all, that G being the gut check, look at realistically, where am I now? What am I now? Who am I now? Whether this is a financial situation, and I said we'll start with billionaire. So I'm not there now. What is the distance between me and billionaire? Me and my financial situation and billionaire. And then the A, you go to the A is audit. So you got to audit all of the aspects of your life and all of the aspects of your financial situation and how you get there. What are all the things involved? What are all your expenses? What are all your sources of potential income? Anybody that's become a billionaire is more than likely using the eighth wonder of the world, according to Einstein, which is compounding interest of some sort. You're not just selling a billion widgets for $1 and for nothing, and then having $1 billion. That's not how it works. So you got to audit that, and then we go to the M of that. M is going to be to mimic the masters. So why reinvent the wheel? What are other billionaires doing? There have been some people have hit the Powerball and won $1 billion or more than $1 billion. That's probably not going to last, because you gotta, you get a blessing like that, you gotta know what to do with it before you get it. Otherwise, it'll be gone in a heartbeat before you know what happened. But what are other billionaires doing? How are other billionaires making their billions? Have they invented something phenomenal? Have they made phenomenal investments? And what are those investments, and what are their strategies? Study those things and mimic those things. So what you come to realize with most people that have any wealth is that I guarantee you the vast majority of people that have a significant amount of wealth have a significant amount of real estate holdings. That's just plain and simple. Even look at people that, entertainers, athletes, movie stars, whatever. If you're going to keep your money's got to be somewhere where it can grow. And what grows better throughout antiquity other than real estate? Real estate appreciates. So most people are into that sort of investment in one way or the other. And the last thing, so that we're at G.A.M.E. So gut, check, audit, mimic the masters, execute. So once you figure out a plan to get to where you're trying to go, through A, realizing where you're at with your gut check, auditing your situation and all of the situations, the income and expenses that are involved in your situation, mimicking the masters and figuring out, all right, what are they doing and what can I do to mimic them, and then execute on those things, on that mimicry? How do I, if Warren Buffett is investing in this, how am I investing in that? Probably not millions of dollars at a time. Maybe I'm starting with $5, or and how do I get to that? What is the mechanism for me to invest that $5 and to watch it compound and to invest $5 more tomorrow? Whatever the thing is. But it's doing that, and it's executing a system. Okay, so let's move over to mental physics. I want to have the nerves of steel. I want to be the self-confident person that has the ability to stand up in front of large crowds and present and get my point across. What's my gut check? Well, my gut check is that I've been terrified of public speaking. I don't like crowds. I don't have any self-confidence. I'd rather run and hide and be anonymous. Well, okay, so to get from here to there is going to be quite a stretch, but it's not impossible. So you got to audit. What are the things? I've listed some of the things already in this little mock audit. I may be a person that is not self-confident at present. I don't like crowds. I don't like speaking. I don't like being the center of attention. I don't, these may be realistically your situation. Mimic the masters. Well, I got to look at who do I admire in this regard? Who do I wish that I could be like? I've seen somebody speak and I thought, man, I just really, if I could present like that, then I'd be doing something. I'd be cooking with gas. Now I know for me, that's somebody like, if I look at Eric Thomas, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, great speakers like that. So when I look at, some television personalities that have a presence, for a certain generation of people. Walter Cronkite was the guy on the news where if he said it felt like it was true. Like for my parents' generation, that's what that was. So it brought a certain level of weight and respect when that person spoke, because of the way they spoke and the integrity and the just the reputation that they had. So that would be part of your mimicry. So maybe you're picking one of those people and figuring out how to, what are their mannerisms, what are their what things in their whole presentation are making them look like somebody that you want to mimic. So there's that situation, and then execute. How do I execute on that? Well, with most things, you're going to execute something like that by figuring out the small steps. So, if speaking with authority and speaking with presence is your goal, then and overall self-confidence is your goal, and at present you speak in kind of a whisper and kind of a shy tone, and nobody can hear you because you're not confident in what you're saying, then maybe the first thing to address is standing up straight and speaking loud and speaking with confidence and authority about those things that you know about. If you are an expert at washing dishes and somebody asks you a question about washing dishes, then damn it, tell them exactly what you know about being a successful dishwasher. I mean, it literally starts from wherever you are at.